it's time for the MD and Chef Team Show.
Let's go!
The content in this show is for informational purposes only. It is not intended for medical advice. It does not take the place of medical advice or treatment from a physician or health professional. Listeners and viewers should consult their own doctor or a qualified healthcare professional for specific health and wellness concerns and questions. And now, let's start the MD and Chef Team Show.
Hello and welcome to the MD and Chef Team Show. Hi, I'm Nutritional Chef Michael here with you today, and I'm always joined by my hottie bride, your Dr. Isabel. Hello, my dear.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining
Hello
us. So
and
glad you're
welcome.
here.
Hey, the comments are on, so if you're out there watching, even if you happen to catch it in replay, give us a hashtag replay, add some comments. Comments are open during the show, so feel free to let us know where you're coming in from. Let us know what part of the world you're at. Please ask questions, comments, suggestions. Whatever you got, it's open during the show, and we'll do our best to get to all of them if we can. Here we go today, the MD and Chef Team Show. I'm excited to be here today. Always a pleasure to be able to share the word of health out there, prevention and reversal of health in the world today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hon, I was thinking that, as people tie in, maybe there's some new people that don't know really about who we are, what we're doing, okay, so what? What about this show? I mean, why listen? Why bother tuning in? So what would you have
Why
for
listen?
them if they ask that question?
That's a great question. Well, let's just look around. The world is full of chronic disease, right? Haven't we heard enough about this everywhere? The world is suffering from chronic disease. So we got a way for you. We got a message of hope for you. All this chronic disease is so reversible and so preventable. It's real simple. It's a real simple process, but it's not easy. You know why it's not easy? Because humans are involved and we gotta change. So this is the way I like to share with you is imagine you've got a canvas in front of you and it's blank. Every morning your canvas is blank and you get to choose how you're gonna paint that canvas for the day and for the future. Like, how do you want to live your life? How do you want your health to be next week, next year, 10 years from now, when you hit 70, 80, 90, even 100? Like Michael and I have our glasses on where we want to go, and we want to give you those glasses and decide where do you want it to be? Because you know what? You can reverse. If you've got chronic disease, you can reverse it. Yes, you can. You can even prevent it. And that's what Michael and I are sharing with you, is showing you how to do it with little step-by-step information bits. We don't want you to be like under a fire hydrant feeling like you're getting full of overflowing with water. No, we're just going to give you step-by-steps, because that's how I learn best, is step-by-step, not overwhelmed steps.
And this is a conversation amongst friends. Just imagine we're hanging out at a coffee shop, having a chat, talking about different things that come up, especially around health. And we're just sharing some information. And maybe you've asked a couple questions and we thought, well, okay, yeah, we can help you with that. And,
So just go ahead and put the questions in the comment section below and we'll bring it up as they come, okay? We promise.
We shall.
So, babe, what's our conversation about today?
Well, today's show is a follow-up from last week. So last week we started on Is Your Brain on Fire Part 1. This week we're talking Is Your Brain on Fire Part 2. Now, Is Your Brain on Fire Part 2, we're going to get into a little bit more about, well, okay, what do we do if I've got inflammation of the brain going on? I've got fire of the brain going on. But just briefly catching up a little bit about last week. Oh, we got a comment coming in already from the Rubio method. I will take a look at that in a moment.
Oh, I can read it.
Here
It
we
says,
go.
how long does it take to create... Hi, Rubio. How long does it take to usually... How long does it usually take, come on brain, slow down, to create a good pattern towards a healthy lifestyle? Now, we've all heard, great question, Rubio. We've all heard it only takes 29 days to create a good habit. Well, actually, the newest, most up-to-date research done by Dr. Caroline Leaf, who's a neuroscientist, has shown us that it takes 63 days. 63 days to make a new habit. But you know what? After the first week, you already start feeling better. So it really starts, your body starts feeling better within a week. But 63 days is when the pattern has been implemented and the new train track in your brain is like, oh, this is how I live my life. I don't follow that train track anymore because that train track's going to make me crash. No, this is the train track. And this is the train track I'm staying on because it's reaching me to my final destination of excellent health until your last breath. Because you know what? You can have amazing health and think clearly until your last breath. But you got to decide which train track are you going to go on.
And I would also ask, yes.
I get so excited
you're
about
talking
this.
about creating a good, healthy lifestyle. It also depends on the individual what their starting point is.
True.
Because as you know, when people come to us, their starting point is usually very different. And their starting point might be fairly well along what they're looking to achieve from a healthy lifestyle. True. Now we just have to move the needle a little bit. Others, we've got a long way to go, and we can really only implement things just a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, a little bit of a time. So I would say the biggest thing also when you talk about a time frame, with the question from Rubio method, is that where's that starting point?
Yeah, exactly.
And where are we looking to go? Because that really is what's going to be the determining factor. And then again, how quickly are you willing to implement the steps that need to be taken?
Right.
That's the other thing,
because
too.
it really is 63 days, but it can be 63 days of pain, or it can be
63 days.
63 days of, I'm making progress. And if it's painful 63 days, then it's going to be longer. It's going to take longer. So you really need to change your thinking. And just remember, you got the picture. What's your picture look like every morning? How am I going to do it?
So last week when we started on about chronic inflammation and is your brain on fire, what we're really talking about is inflammation. And whenever we hear the word inflammation, we're just painting the picture for you. Just think of fire, so there's nothing like, okay, inflammation, what's that? It's fire. And understanding the fact that when we normally talk about inflammation, most of the time we're thinking about it from the neck down. Oh, I got a problem with my elbow. I've got inflammation. Or I've got inflammation of my shoulders. I've got inflammation of whatever area of my body. But we don't normally think about inflammation of the brain. So it doesn't just affect the body, but it also affects our brain.
And I just want to add in, because I'm allowed to, because he's given me permission. Michael, babe, Chef A, I'm allowed to butt in when something pops in, when I get a download, right?
Yeah.
Tell everybody it's okay.
It's okay. Help yourself. Go for it.
So about the brain, we now know that most of mental illness is inflammation of the brain. We just need to learn how to turn down the fire. That's like new thinking. That's revolutionary thinking. Now, it's going to take a while for the psychiatric medical department to catch up with that, but that's what the latest research is showing us.
Yeah. And then understanding that, why is this so important? Why are we talking about inflammation of the brain and having this in two parts like it's important? Well, because we know that our brain is our number one muscle. No, I'm not sure if you've thought about that, but we think about all the different muscles of the body and the things we do, but your brain is your number one muscle, because if your brain is not functioning properly because you've got fire going on, inflammation of the brain, everything's going to shut down. Everything's going to start falling apart, because guess what? Everything we're doing, every movement we make, talk, speak, smell, all our senses, everything we do is controlled by the brain. And if the brain's having problems, everything's going to start having problems.
Right. Central control starts right here.
So just understand that when we talk about the inflammation also is, just in this quick recap from last week, is when we talk about the fire doesn't just come. When people come to see Isabel as a doctor, when she's out there working in a traditional healthcare system, when they come to see her, that's when the fire has exploded. Because people don't usually come in. Now, I'm sure you can check me if I'm right or wrong.
They don't.
You can fact check me on this.
No, they can't.
But do they come in and say, well, Doc,
no,
I feel fantastic, but, I'm just want to make sure everything's okay. That's
not the situation right now.
No, they don't do that when they come in. Okay.
No.
In our business.
In our business, our online business. But unfortunately, people have to wait until they're hurting bad enough before they do anything, which is, they're already on fire.
So the fire has just gone poof. And the problem with that is the inflammation, the actual fire, the smoldering, the problem started a long time ago. Weeks, months, years, possibly decades, and when it started. So just understand, when we talk about inflammation, we talk about fire, this isn't something where all of a sudden it's happened. Now, inflammation of the brain, which we talked about last week and got started into, just to understand, we're talking about what's called areas like mood disorders, mental health problems, also a cognitive decline, where we're now struggling with thought processes and we're foggy, we're unsure how to make decisions. Maybe we're forgetful, we're walking into rooms all over, maybe getting lost more when we're driving and things like that, losing objects and forgetting where things are. That starts to happen. We have what's called reduced neuroplasticity. That basically means where now the brain is actually starting to shrink. We're starting to lose our memory. Things are happening in the brain, and that's due to chronic inflammation. That's due to that fire in the brain. And when we start to get down that process, when all that is happening, unfortunately, people wait till it's way down the track, and now we got some real problems to try and put out that fire. And we can dampen down that fire and actually put it out. But as you can imagine, if we wait down that far, it's going to take a heck of a lot longer and a lot more work. So today I want to talk about some steps in this part 2.
But it's never too late. I want people,
okay.
I really,
you go for it. This is a very important point.
Yeah. It's never too late. You can always start feeling better. You can always start turning the disease around and start working backwards, okay? However, the further along you are, the harder it is. That's just the bottom line. But don't ever think that there's no hope. I don't believe that. I don't believe in telling people there's no hope. Your heart doesn't need that. Your soul needs to know that there's always hope. That you've got a purpose, that, there's work to be done. And I don't sign up in medicine to tell people, oh, there's nothing you can do. Just take this pill and that's all you're going to do for the rest of your life. That's not true. You don't have to take that pill for the rest of your life. You just need to learn what you need to do to turn things around.
Yeah.
And the only reason Michael and I can say that is because we've been doing it now with people for the last 8 years, and we're amazed at how strong and resilient the body is. And when people make a decision to start doing work on themselves and helping themselves get strong and healthy and powerful, it is amazing what can happen and what does happen.
Here we go from Rubio. You took my question. If someone is totally on a bad path, how long would it take for them to start feeling better and give them hope? Great question. Great question. It's pretty general, but I would say in 30 days, possibly even a week.
I would say a week.
Give me somebody who's got, let's say, autoimmune disease, diabetes, cognitive decline, a lot of other things going. If we hit it from day one, within a week, they can start to feel some results. Within a month, they can really start to feel some very good results. Now, I'm not talking about 100% where we want to go, but as far as what you're talking about, feeling better and giving them hope, can be definitely within a week to a month, very quickly, if they start applying themselves from good coaching and starting those steps from day one and really implementing things. It can happen very quickly. You'd be amazed how quickly people can really turn a corner if they get after it.
Once they make the decision once.
Yes.
Once they make the decision once, not, oh, I got to make this decision again because I went off the wagon yesterday. No, just make the decision, say, I'm going there.
Yeah, and that's it. It's making that decision once and say, I'm going. Yes, you can go down the track and you can fall off for a day or so.
Because we're human.
But it's making that decision and then not having to constantly make that decision day after day after day after day. Now we're slowing down that recovery period. But make the decision, I'm in, boom. We've seen it happen. We've seen it happen so many times to a lot of people. And like I said, within a week to a month, things can really turn very quickly if it's applied. Look, if everything's applied, and away you go. Okay, so let's talk about now today. We want to talk about some ways to dampen down inflammation if you've got something going on. And I'm talking about where right now you're struggling mentally, where you just feel there's something off. And you know, because here's Isabel and I talk about this all the time. You are your number one doctor. You live with yourself 24/7. If you're 100% honest with yourself, you will know that something's going on. You will know that, oh, something's just not feeling right. I'm getting headaches a lot recently, or I'm just feeling foggy, or I'm having struggle with, just being clear. I'm struggling with focus and those types of things. You will know when something's going on. So today I want to talk about how we can dampen down that fire, but then also for all of us, even if you got nothing going on right now, what's the best habits to prevent going down that track where all of a sudden one day you're like, oh my gosh, what's happened to me? So we want to prevent that too. That's the real key, is the prevention side of it. All right, so number one, nutrition.
Oh, come on. Really?
Don't turn off. Don't turn off because
People
I said
are
nutrition.
but it's true. Food is your medicine, or food is your
Poison.
bottom line, you guys and
Either
gals.
way, just remember, and I talk about this with clients all the time, that, like Rubia said, how quickly can they feel better and have hope? Making that one decision. I talk to them about just when you're putting something, whether it's drink or food, when it's about to enter, just think, is this helping me or is this harming me? And if you can honestly say, well, this is harming me, but I'm going to go ahead anyway, well then, okay, you made that decision. But if we actually learn to stop and realize that, then so much stuff goes away. You don't want it. You keep it away. You don't buy it. It's not even around. And then maybe as a treat every once in a while, you'll have something, well, I know this isn't that good for me, but you know what? I haven't had anything that's harmful to me for weeks, months, whatever, and that's okay. I'm all right.
Like we did in Melbourne with potato chips and ice cream.
Tortilla chips.
And you guys, you boys did bring home a couple of bags of potato chips. And I don't know about you, but I'm not
after
somebody.
golf.
I'm somebody who has my hand in the bag of potato chips, and before I know it, my hand is still in there, and it's in there until it's over. It's not like I can just have one. I have the whole bag.
Yeah.
And the food company knows that. They know how many crunches you need to have in your brain to keep on going back for more and more. So it's not just self-will. Yes, I shouldn't have had my hand in there, and I should have shared that bag of potato chips with you guys. But my brain took over and said, you need more, you need more, you need more, because the food industry has figured out exactly
your bliss point.
That's exactly what it's called, the bliss point. They have scientists that know how many crunches, what that taste needs to be, how spicy, how salty, for you to get your hand back in there and in your mouth.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you've eaten the whole bag. And you know what? You don't feel bad right away. It's the next day that you're on fire.
Yeah. Well, but what I was saying with that whole point is that, when you make that decision, you consciously know now, okay, if I'm having that, you're not subconsciously eating this stuff. You consciously know, okay, you know what, I haven't.
You do go subconscious.
Well, afterward, but at first, no, honestly, I'm talking about.
No, everybody goes subconscious.
First is conscious.
Yeah, first is conscious.
Because when you make a switch, don't mind if we have
We're going to have a little conversation. Here.
What I was saying is about, with knowing is it harmful or not, we know it's harmful.
We know it's harmful.
Consciously.
Yes.
Well, because we haven't had any of those types of chips for, 6 months, a year, whenever. It's like, I made a conscious decision. Yeah, okay, I don't mind.
Yeah.
Now, once you get into that second and third chip, it becomes very subconscious. Like you're just all of a sudden, like, whoa, wait a second here. I just about finished this bag.
Yeah.
That's when it takes
That's
over.
when it becomes unconscious.
But I mean, consciously at the beginning.
And that's where the food industry knows how to.
Yeah.
They know how to get you into that bliss point where you're like not thinking anymore. You're not. It's not there. It's in your subconscious.
So
that's what we were talking about.
So what I'm trying to do with people is get them to consciously know, okay, when I go past that first one, I'm making a decision. Is it helping me or harming me? Now let's talk about, I don't even know quite how we got onto that, but we did.
Potato
we
chips?
went there.
Because I'm still thinking about them.
Our recommendation is what's called a mildly ketogenic, plant-based, healthy eating lifestyle.
This is really, really important because this is different from the Atkinson ketogenic diet, okay? So we're listening. And I'll be quiet.
Now notice I said healthy eating lifestyle. I'm not talking about a diet. I don't when I'm working with people or we're working with people, we don't get them to do something for a week or 30 days and then like, okay, now you're better, you can go back to doing what you're doing. No, you don't want to be doing that because that's what got you here. I'm talking about a healthy eating lifestyle. The way Isabel and I eat nutritionally every day is our lifestyle. This is what we will do until the day we die, until our last breath, unless we find out some other ways that work better. But this is our lifestyle of eating. Not, hey, I'm on a diet for the next 60 days so I feel better. No, you want to have a healthy eating lifestyle. And where we can adapt this, but we recommend a plant-based, mildly ketogenic diet. And what that means is your main meal, the main portion of every meal, at least 60%, but we're talking 60% to 70% of every meal. I'm talking if you have 3 meals a day, 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day, that 60 to 70% is made up of salad greens or lettuce greens and vegetables. That's your carbohydrates, your salad greens and your vegetables. By the way, carbohydrates is not a bad word. When people say, well, I'm cutting out carbohydrates, well, I know what they're trying to say is they're trying to cut out the breads and the pastas and things like that. But what we have to understand is our body functions on 3 macronutrients, and we need them in good balance. That's carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. We need all 3 to function properly. So we can't actually cut out carbohydrates because that's a main macronutrient we need.
For our body to function.
But we're going to get them, the carbohydrates, from our lettuce, greens, and vegetables, mainly. Okay?
And that, causes people's heads to tilt.
Yeah.
Carbohydrate vegetables are Carbohydrates.
Vegetables are carbohydrate.
Yeah.
And so is spinach. Spinach is carbohydrate. Lettuce greens are carbohydrate. Then we want to, on top of that, then we want to have some healthy proteins. If you want to be vegan, vegetarian, you want meat, you want fish, chicken, whatever it is for you. And we work with everybody individually, but you want to have some healthy proteins on top of that. Of course, when I say healthy proteins, I'm talking about when you are getting your meats, your chicken, your eggs, your fish in that, you're looking for, if you can, hopefully organic, hopefully grass-fed, the best type of quality proteins you can get. And then
because you eat
what
they have eaten. So if they've been eating grains like corn and soy and
all kinds of
wheat
mishmash
and hormones, guess what? You're going to be eating that too.
Yeah.
That's why we always recommend grass-fed as clean as possible.
You're eating what they eat.
Yeah, just remember that.
Passed on to you.
Yeah.
And then you want the good healthy fats like your extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, avocado, nuts, seeds, olives, those types of products. Butter. We tend to use ghee, but butter's okay. Ghee is clarified butter, so it helps to be non-dairy. But those types of good healthy fats. By the way, butter is the real thing. You don't want to be using margarines or it's almost butter or it's almost olive oil spreads or all this kind of stuff. I mean, those are frankenfoods. Those are manufactured supposed fats foods. Those are manufactured foods that are chemicalized and they're not good fats. So I'm talking about good fats.
But they'll say healthy on there to trick you.
Yeah.
So just now you know.
The marketing of all that stuff.
They're very smart. The food industry is very smart.
Now, with that type of eating, how does that really benefit? I mean, one of the great things about eating that way and getting your carbohydrates from your greens and your vegetables is you're not getting the glucose spikes at every meal. You're not getting this rush of excess sugar throughout your body because of the types of carbohydrates you're having. And when I say those other types, that was like the potato chips we mentioned, or Doritos, or French fries, or
all that
breads,
stuff.
pastas, all that kind of stuff. Those are really will spike your glucose levels. We've talked about this in some other times, but we want to keep a stable glucose level throughout our body during all our meals.
Why?
Basically all day long, because that, again, when we are getting spikes...
I'm just curious.
When we are getting spikes of glucose levels constantly all day long, we're feeding the fire. Just think when we got a lot
We're putting
of
gasoline
sugar,
on the fire.
when we got a lot of sugar, and you can say glucose, when we got a lot of that running through our body systems, as Isabel just beautifully said, we're just throwing fuel onto that fire. Want to keep that nice and stable throughout the day, and eating this way will do that to allow just minimal little spikes at every meal. It's not really a spike, just kind of bumps up a little bit our glucose levels, and then after the meal we get a little movement. After a meal, we don't want to just go sit and lay on the couch and have a drink of alcohol or a Coca-Cola or something. After a meal, try and have a little activity within a half hour after a meal, like maybe 10 minutes of any kind of movement, just whether it's 10 minutes walk.
Or 30 squats.
30 squats. It might just anything, just some movement. You could even do housework after a meal, just so you're moving around and bending around and burning up a little extra glucose. You want to do that within a half hour to 45 minutes after a meal, just to burn up any extra. Because again, if it bumped up a little bit at the meal, it's going to use those sugars that are out there floating around our system and put it into the muscles as we're working and doing things. And it's going to keep that low. And again, that's going to help to not feed the inflammation fire of the body and of the brain.
Isn't that amazing? And another thing that I know Michael's about to say, but I'll just say it for him.
Am I?
Eat your greens first. And the reason you want to eat your greens is because all that fiber is kind of like a mesh on the inside of your stomach, your GI tract, and it slows down. Then you eat your protein, then you eat your carbohydrate, because when you do it in that fashion, your carbs first, your greens, and then your protein, and then your fats. Well, then what happens is your blood sugars are stable. Instead of, if you just eat your fats right away and there's no mesh on the inside to slow down the absorption, then you've got spikes of sugar.
Or even your protein, eating your protein first.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, just think of the traditional Western type of meal, which is a big piece of protein, whatever it may be, usually a big piece of meat, some kind of potato on the side, and then this little sprig of broccoli. And we've seen it so many times with people, even when we've gone out to eat or done things with friends and that. And on the plate, there's a little bit of salad, greens. And
we're not the food police, though,
no,
just so you know.
But they don't get eaten. And we realize that westernized diet is that normally people will dive into that big piece of meat, put that down first, and then maybe the potato with it and that, and possibly have that little piece of broccoli on the side or some greens and that if we get there.
Right. And the potato, yes, you're right. The potato is a carbohydrate. The potato is a vegetable. However, it's a high glucose level carbohydrate. So you don't want to eat that first. You want to have your greens, which are low sugar. They're low carbohydrate. They're low sugar in your system. If you just eat the potato right away, well, then that's just going to shoot up into your bloodstream. You see, because the potato doesn't really have fiber, the fiber that you need from your dark green leafy vegetables. So always, we highly recommend, if you're dancing with us until your last breath, is to eat your dark green leafy vegetables first.
Yes.
It'll help so much.
So we're going to have our carbohydrates with our healthy eating lifestyle from lettuce, greens, and vegetables. And that's our effective way to combat inflammation of the brain through our nutritional style of healthy lifestyle eating. Now, another thing we can do in nutrition, it's not exactly nutrition, but it's our way of eating, is overnight fast. Probably most of us have heard recently about intermittent fasting. Maybe you haven't, maybe you haven't. That's basically the period of time when you are not eating food. What we recommend is overnight, well, two things. One is not eating food or drinking alcohol 3 hours before bedtime. Ooh, okay. I can honestly say that was probably the toughest new habit, as we had some questions earlier from Rubio. That's probably the toughest new habit that I had to implement, because I was one of those late night snackers. Up to bedtime, it'd be like, I'm kind of hungry. I'm going to have something, and then go lay down and go to bed. And we'll talk about that in a moment, what that does. So you want to at least 2 hours, and if you could do 3, fantastic, but 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. And again, it happens sometimes, you're out with friends and it doesn't always work perfect, but your normal way is 2 to 3 hours before bedtime, not having food and not having any type of alcoholic drink or something which contains sugars and adds to that. Then overnight, fasting for a minimum of 12 hours. That meaning, let's say your last meal is at 8 p.m. at night, you don't want to eat until beyond 8 a.m. in the morning. Now, if you're already doing it, you might say, well, I'm already doing that. That's easy. Well, good, because the sweet spot for most people, again, we're all a little different, but the sweet spot for most people is around 14 hours. Now, some might be doing 16. Some can even do 18, depending on what's going to be best for them. But for generalization right now, I'm going to say 14 is a real good sweet spot for an overnight fasting. Now, why is that so important? A couple things. One is, as we talk about later on, if we get to it, is sleep. It's going to help us so much with your sleep. It's also going to help out with your digestive process, your detoxification process, your body actually relaxing and regenerating and refreshing, and what's called rest. If you heard this and didn't see it, I just did rest in air quotes. But we're supposed to rest overnight. If we're eating and drinking right up to bedtime, our body systems, including our brain, because our brain has to work it all. It has to tell everything how to work. So if we're eating and drinking before bedtime, our body systems will be digesting,
Working.
and not resting. And that can go for hours during the night. Now, as you can imagine, that's not good for sleep because we're not actually resting, we're working. Our body systems are working. You might think, well, I'm not working. Well, actually, if you're eating and drinking before bedtime, your body systems are working. Your brain is working because your brain controls everything that's functioning. So now your brain's working. It's not resting. You're not detoxifying your body systems overnight. You're not refreshing and getting everything regenerated overnight. And that's the way our Lord and Savior God has created our body systems to rest overnight and regenerate and get fresh.
Because if you're in bed for 8 hours and you're like, oh, wow, but I'm sleeping 8 hours. Not really, because if you're going to bed with food in your stomach, and I'm talking like a good load in your stomach, then it's going to take 3 hours to digest your food. So you're already 8 minus 3 is you're only really resting. Your body's really only resting for 5 hours. So
At most.
At most, yeah.
Yeah. And depending on what you had, if it is a pretty big load, it can take longer than that to be digesting through your system.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And if you need something to eat, then we always recommend a fat bomb.
Yeah, healthy fat.
A healthy fat. Like for me, what I do is I eat, like I'll if I'm hungry, I'll eat like a tablespoon of tahini because tahini is mostly fat and some protein. So
yeah,
tahini is sesame seed butter.
Sesame seed paste.
Paste, yeah.
Yeah. A big old tablespoon of tahini. Yeehaw, you crazy girl, you.
Wow. Yeah, but I do enjoy it.
All right, so we're talking about how do we dampen down this chronic inflammation of the brain, how to prevent it. So we got into nutrition. Let's talk about regular exercise. Okay, depending on your starting point. If you're somebody right now that's not doing any kind of exercise, not doing a lot of movement, man, you just want to get going, if you can work your way up to 30 minutes of walking a day, fantastic. Work your way up to somewhere between 30 to 60 minutes a day walking. What we do know through the research now for really good brain health is if you got something that counts your steps, you want to get to 9,200 steps a day minimum.
Is that the latest?
That's the latest information from Dr. Dale Bredesen and his team who specialize in
brain
prevention
health
and reversal of Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
So for brain health, what we want to look to do, and that's for keeping our brain healthy, of course, is look to get up to a minimum of 9,200 steps a day. So if you can do your steps on some kind of on your smartphone or watch or whatever it is, that would be a really great start if you can get to doing that. And then beyond steps and getting the body moving, then we want to look at a couple other areas. I mean, again, this depends your starting point, but let's look at a couple other areas. One is resistance. We want to have good resistance training. We want to work on our muscle tone. We want to have that muscle mass continuing to stay strong and even grow as we get older. Understand the fact that from the age of 30 and beyond, every decade we lose 3 to 8% of muscle mass if we aren't doing any resistance work.
Yeah.
So, that means between the age of 3 and 60, you could have lost anywhere between
30 and 60.
I'm sorry, yeah, 3. Between the age of 30 and 60, you could have lost anywhere between 10 to 25, 30% of your muscle mass if you're not doing any kind of resistance training and leg strengthening, training.
And just so you know, muscle is the new commodity. You want it. You don't want to lose it.
Yeah, it's not about being skinny.
No more skinniness.
It's about being lean,
toned and healthy.
Yes, yeah. So working on resistance a few times a week, and that's really, really important. The other is leg strength. Leg strength is so important also for proper brain health. We know that strong leg muscles equate to strong brain muscles. Basically, that brain muscle is stronger when our legs are stronger. And it's also great for mobility and stability. You don't want to be someone who's shaky on their feet and has problems with falling and stability and all that. We will lose our leg strength, our leg muscles, our leg tone if we don't work on some resistance. And how can we do that? Well, we can do things like, yes, you could do it at the gym, but very, very simply at home, you can do lunges and squats, all those types of things. Do you want to add a moment about squats and a few things?
Yes, there's a couple of things you can do. The squats, I love just fitting in 100 squats Monday through Friday. That's something that I'm really working super hard on. And another thing is when you're sitting down on the ground, don't use your hands to get up. You know how most people bend over so they're on both their hands and their knees to get up. Get up just using your legs, work on that. And if you just have to work on that, by using one hand first to get up. But the goal is to get up. The rebounder, that little mini trampoline, just bouncing up and down, up and down 10 minutes will help build muscle in your body.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many different things you can do.
Yeah, and it's really good for your gastrointestinal tract too. Keeps you regular.
So bottom line with exercise.
Oh, we're not talking about gut health right now. Okay.
No.
All right. You see, it helps everything.
Get your body moving and look at some cardio, look at resistance, look at strength training, all those different areas. Because that's what's going to help you lower your chronic inflammation of the brain, and that's so important. That's another big component of it. And again, you'll notice there's a few different components. I started with nutrition. We've got into exercise. I would consider that number 2. Number 3, well, actually, they're all so important. Again, but nutrition's 1, exercise is 2. I would say the next one is what's called managing stress. We're all going to get stress. Stress is really, really hard on the brain. When we have what's called chronic stress, where every day we're under the pump, there's just stuff going on every day, and my brain is just, I'm just getting pounded on constantly every day. We have to understand that we have to have our own practices in place where we're able to allow our body systems to relax, allow our nervous system to relax. Otherwise, everything is on fire constantly, and that constantly going on, it's going to wear out the systems of our body.
And just to add a little bit on that is when we're under stress, it increases this hormone called cortisol, and cortisol will shrink a part of the brain called the hippocampus. And the hippocampus is
hippopotamus.
No, hippocampus.
Oh.
I didn't say
Oh, you didn't say hippopotamus?
No, I didn't say hippopotamus. You silly man. So where was I? Oh, so it shrinks the hippocampus, not the hippopotamus. And that's our memory center. So you want to learn how to deal with stress. Let's see. Even though he is not a doctor, how do you feel about El Trumpo appointing RFK Jr. to be in charge of the Department of Health and Human Resources, since he is really into health? I am 1,000,000% behind him. And I hope that what Bobby Kennedy is doing, the rest of the world will pay attention to, especially here in New Zealand and Australia. I love what he's doing.
Yeah. And as far as that position goes, thank you, Rubio, for the question. As far as that position, what he's feeling, and this is my opinion on it, it's not even just the health part. It's about who's been running the health part. Isabel and I have been down this track deep enough to know, and Isabel from the inside of healthcare to know, that these large government organizations have a couple different industries in their ear who have all the money, and that's the pharmaceuticals and the food companies. Those pharmaceutical and food companies are in with these governmental health organizations telling them what to do, saying, well, let's do this, let's not do that. We'd like you to do this, we'd like you to do that. And we've really gotten off course for what should be taught out there in the world. So I think the biggest thing he's going to do is, he's been doing it for decades now, is really trying to break down some of these strongholds that have been holding back most countries as far as teaching their people proper health. I mean, here we are in little old New Zealand, but we get the same
little
thing.
old New Zealand.
Yeah.
Babe, stop saying that. It's big New Zealand.
Big New Zealand.
It's got two parts to
big
it.
New Zealand with a small population.
5 million, but that's like the state of Colorado.
Yeah.
So Colorado's huge.
That's one state. Anyway, my point is...
What is your point?
Even here,
yeah,
with a smaller population, the problem is what we see through media, what we see through television, all the outlets out there. We don't see the information coming to us about prevention. We see information about treating problems with drugs. We see lots of advertisements about foods that we should be eating that are chemicalized, but we're not seeing information about, well, why should I eat broccoli? Why is that good for me? Why should I get a vitamin D test and understand that that's one of the most important tests I could possibly get for my health and get that regulated properly? Why are we not seeing those types of things? So hopefully with what we're seeing with Bobby Kennedy, and hopefully it trickles down to some other parts of the world, we start to get that proper information out to people where they can start to understand that prevention and reversal is possible, and we don't need to fall into the trap of the food industry, and the pharmaceutical industries by controlling these government entities. So that's my rant and opinion about that.
I don't think it was a rant.
Yeah, well, opinion.
I do want to also say that's why Michael are doing what we're doing, because of the functional medicine part that we've been doing for the last, 11 years. Hydration. But I do want to say, as a medical doctor, in 1991, when I graduated from medical school, there wasn't this vast amount of chronic disease that we're seeing right now. And now it's just become so obvious because of what's been going on in the American elections, with Bobby sharing what he knows as a lawyer, is that the food industry is killing us and making themselves rich. And the pharmaceutical companies are working to, the food industry is killing people, and the pharmaceutical companies are giving the doctors the drug to help the doctors with the chronic disease. So the doctors are like in the middle of all this, doing, like, people are getting sick and we're only being taught the drugs. And the point of all that is doctors are getting burned out taking care of all this chronic disease, because people don't get well with chronic disease by just managing them. They just stay unwell longer with their chronic disease. So I love what Bobby's doing, and that's why I stand side by side with him. So does Michael, because together I know that we can wake people up and let them know that they're in control of the picture that they're painting for their life, because you can live longer, you can live an extra 20, 30 years, we know that, with drugs, but the quality of life will be terrible. Why not live that extra life with great health, and doing amazing work and just dancing and doing your amazingness? That's the way I want to do it, and I want everybody else to join us to do that.
So hopefully that answered that question. So we were talking about stress.
Oh, I wanted to add one more thing about stress while we're going on to that, okay?
Yep.
Okay, so stress shrinks the hippocampus. And I wanted to say, the other day, did I see this right? Somebody wrote, "Calm down, it's all out of control."
Yeah.
I thought that was really cute. And about stress.
So the saying was that we saw, calm down, it's all out of control.
Yeah.
But basically saying listen, what are you trying to do? You're going to try to control everything that's going on out there? You will be stressed out if that's what you're trying to do. So just calm down, relax. You just handle what you can handle, and the rest, it's just, it's out of control. So do what you can. It's out of your control.
Right.
Only what you can do, and that also will help you to lower your stress.
And I was, I went through an experience like 4 months ago that made me realize that I was trying to control everything, and my anxiety level was starting to go up and up and up because things were getting way out of control. And so the family and Michael agreed that I needed to go into therapy. So I agreed, and I'm in therapy right now, and Michael sits in with me, thankfully, to help me. He's kind of like my therapist outside of therapy. And my therapist is so good. She's just helping me debrief and helping me realize I'm not in control. Exactly what that says. It's all out of control. All I can control is my response. And I can only, I'm just sharing with you what she's given to me, which is really helpful. All we need to do is one day at a time. Not tomorrow. We've got the grace for one day. That's why we only have 24 hours. We got the grace for one day to do today. And when we're doing today is break it down into an hour. It's like, just do an hour. Okay, for this hour, we're going to do this. Like, for instance, Michael and I were walking this morning, and it takes us about an hour to do our walk. And I was like, okay, so when we get back, we're going to have breakfast, we're going to work out, then we're going to study for the show. And Michael's like, well, right now we're walking. And I'm like, you're right. That's what we're doing. You see, so it's really nice to have Michael also because he just helps me kind of course correct.
Yes, we do make plans for the future.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
But this actually goes back to another great stress reliever, is having gratitude for today. Having gratitude that I woke up today. Having gratitude that maybe if you have a job, gratitude that I have a job. Now, maybe it's not your best. Maybe you don't really want it. Well, okay, I have gratitude that I have it right now, and I'll look to move on. Or gratitude that you have a partnership like we do, or gratitude to just whatever. Maybe, hey, if you got running hot water and your toilets that flush, have gratitude for that. And so those are actually stress relievers when we're being mindful of the moment, where I'm actually mindful of this moment, that this is great. I'm having a hot shower and this feels good. I have gratitude for that. And that really lowers your stress levels instead of just out there always constantly projecting, got to do this, I'm out there, it's bringing yourself back in a little bit and understanding I've got right now. And a mindful technique is understanding, have gratitude for this moment. And that can really just allow your parasympathetic nervous system to relax. Allow the nervous system just to,
He's very good at this.
Relax.
That's his middle name, is Relax.
Well,
it is, babe.
Peaceful.
You're very peaceful. You're very
peaceful.
And another thing, our therapist, really, because it's for both of us, because you're hearing, I know we're getting close to an hour, but there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, you rock and roll.
Yeah, so it's all coming in, babe. I'm getting downloads. And one of the other things our therapist said is, look, the human beings are never ready for chaos. We're never ready for chaos. We may be trying to get ready, just so that we're not so taken off guard, but we're never ready for chaos. So just deal with it. Just know that chaos will happen. And when it does happen, we will respond, as we need to respond. We're never going to be totally prepared. And another thing about the stress, these are all stress things that I'm implementing in my life to just keep me under control, because I've got huge vision, like hugeness. Mm-hmm. God has put in so much in Michael and I, and I'm like, but we're going there. And so this is what I do is I've got a vision board, and I used to have the vision board in the living room where I'd have to look at it. I was looking at it all day long, and then I'd realize where I was in our life right now and realize, oh, but we're not there. We're not there. Well, that was causing stress and anxiety in me. So now I've got the vision board in another room, and after our more time with God, praying and stuff and drinking coffee, I'll go and sit in front of the vision board for maybe 2 or 3 minutes and just look at where we want to go. Like, we've got where we want to go, but right now we're just focusing on today. Today's all we need to do while we're going that way. So that's all I wanted to say about stress. Is it's incredible how little things that you're doing can make you stressed and increase your cortisol and shrink your hippocampus.
One of the things I'm doing with some clients, because with autoimmune disease, which is on the massive rise, stress is a big factor in that inflammation. That's inflammation. Autoimmune disease is inflammation related. One of the big factors there is stress levels rising. And so what I'm working with people is having a minimum of 15 minutes of just a quiet time. If you could do more, fantastic. But most people, when I talk to them about having 15 minutes of a quiet time, they're like, oh my gosh, by 15 minutes, that's so much. How do I? And it's like, okay, let's just go for 15 minutes where if you can go outside, whether you're just sitting, no music, no phone, you're just in nature. Even if it's sitting on your back porch or deck, or put a chair in your yard. But 15 minutes of quiet time. If it's inside, maybe you're having a nice cup of tea, a peppermint or chamomile tea, and just relaxing. No, you're not reading, you're not watching, listening. You are just relaxing. You're aware of your surroundings, but you're taking that 15 minutes to allow everything to just calm down. And you'd be amazed how that gives you a reset for your body systems throughout the day. So like on our daily calendar, we have a 1 o'clock, what's called parasympathetic time, which is allowing the body systems to just relax, because we've been on the go. We need that time to just go, ooh. Then we can go again. Very, very important. And
it's about that time, so we got to go. No, I'm joking.
So if you're wanting to, lower those stress levels, because again, that's so important for chronic inflammation and inflammation of the brain. All right, sleep. Now, sleep is one we can do many shows on this, and we will at another time. But what I want to just touch on today briefly about sleep is, again, this is such a big, important factor. We did say how intermittent fasting overnight and not eating and drinking 3 hours before bed and drinking, alcohol, yes, you could have water, a cup of peppermint or chamomile tea, but not having that food and drink before bedtime will allow you to have better sleep. But the overall thing for us all to understand about sleep is how it has changed and how it's changed since the invention of the light bulb. And this is just something, because we've been born into this time, we don't even think about it, we don't even realize it. But our natural circadian rhythm was set up by God, who created us, that at dusk, or at dawn, not dusk, at dawn, as the darkness came down, then we would increase the levels. What is it? What's
melatonin?
Melatonin. Uh-huh. That we would increase naturally the levels of melatonin. Our body said, and now it's getting dark. It's nighttime. It's sleep time. And then in the morning, as there was light, melatonin went down and we woke up. That's the natural circadian rhythm of life. But ever since the invention of the light bulb, and now leading up to today, we don't have a natural circadian rhythm. Yes, it's there in us, but it's affected because we don't actually have a sunset at night anymore. Yeah, the sun goes down, but in the house, the lights are on, there's street lights, we got stuff on, we got television, we're looking at things and tablets and things are going off and all kinds of things are happening, and the brain doesn't shut down because it's like, oh, there's still stuff going on, and
I got to stay awake.
and it's firing away, and melatonin isn't being created because the brain is just going, yo, go, 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 go. And then all of a sudden we brush our teeth, turn the lights out, go to bed. Some people are watching TV or something going to bed. Our brain isn't shutting down. And at nighttime, our brain is supposed to rest, relax, refresh, recharge. If we're not allowing a proper amount of time for the brain to start slowing down, our system slowing down before bedtime, and again, we're not going to take the time to get in all the technical details of that because that'll take us a couple hours. But just think about you need to have a nighttime, bedtime hygiene where everything starts to come down. The phones are off, the TV's off, the lights come down, everything starts to get quiet. I mean, a minimum of an hour before bedtime, everything starts to get quiet, slowed down, so the body, our natural rhythm starts to say, I think we're going to bed. I think it's nighty-night time, and that melatonin starts to get created, and we have that opportunity when everything is dark and we go to sleep, close our eyes, that we're off to sleep and not going to bed, because there's so many people we talk to all the time. They might go to sleep at whatever time, but boom, within a couple hours they're wide awake and things are just like, and because it just hasn't shut down. It hasn't come down, allowed to rest, calm down. So sleep is such a big one. And the last one we want to touch on is hydration. Just to understand, water is so important. Staying hydrated, it's detoxifying of the body systems. And when I talk about hydration, I'm not talking about the fizzy drinks. I'm not talking about
diet drinks,
Gatorades and Powerades and all those drinks with water or sugars and things and colors added into it. I'm talking about water. Making sure we're properly hydrated every day. And it's what is it? 30 mils if you're in the metric system. 30 mils per kg per day per person. I mean, you can figure that out yourself to keep you well hydrated as a minimum, and just keep those caffeine levels to a minimum. Try not to have more than 2 coffees a day, and stay away from the Coca-Colas and pops and all that kind of stuff. Just keep your hydration of water levels up. Stay hydrated, and that'll help you to dampen down the fire of inflammation.
As he drinks his water.
Water.
That's so cool. You're drinking the water.
Fire.
Yeah, that's right.
Alrighty, so we really went at it there today to help out with some ways of putting out the inflammation.
Now, can I say something?
Yeah, what do you got? What are we moving on to?
Relationship chat.
Oh, we're moving on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
no, we're not stopping.
Well, I just wanted to give a quick wrap there.
Okay. Yeah.
Asked me to. So, Injured Fire on Brain Part 2, understanding that the fire, the inflammation of the brain is so important. Ways to prevent it and ways to dampen it, put it out. Number 1, nutrition. Having a healthy, plant-based, ketogenic, healthy lifestyle eating way of eating. Intermittent fasting overnight, minimum 12 hours, 14 hours is a really good sweet spot. Minimum at nighttime, 2 to 3 hours of not eating or having alcoholic drinks before bed. Exercise, just get the body moving and understand that it's not just walking or running or jogging or biking. We actually have to have good strength training and resistance training. Upper body and leg muscles are so important. What else do we have? Stress. And understanding that we have to have some kind of systems in place for us all individually to relieve stress and to keep it at low levels. So again, you can work on those yourself. What will that be for you? Sleep. Understand that we need to have good sleep hygiene. Right now, just briefly recommending at least a minimum before bedtime. Everything needs to go off, start turning down, quieting down, allowing the circadian rhythm to start kicking in, allow the melatonin to start coming up naturally, so that when we do go to bed, our body and brain realizes, oh, it is nighttime. I'm not still just firing away. and it takes hours and hours to actually shut things off.
So no phones under your pillows.
No. Not watching TV in the bedroom and all that kind of stuff. And then hydration, water, water, water. Real water is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, babe.
So now, let's see, what else can we do? One of our main topics that we always cover every week, because Isabel and I, being together for the last 45 years, understand that, relationships, there's a lot to making a relationship work. And that's whether it's family, friends, husband and wife, whatever it is, making a relationship work is a challenge because there's a lot to it. So today, in our relationship chat, my dear, what do you have for us that keeps us together?
Well, you're doing a great job.
Okay.
You are, hon.
Yeah, where are we going?
No, you are.
Oh, well, thank you.
I appreciate the work that you put into keeping us rocking and rolling with our marriage.
And that's part of what we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, and it is.
I could tell there was a bridge coming there.
And one of the things that Michael has perfected is remembering. And so I'll begin with a story. I was minding my own business while Michael was in a store getting his golf hat. And I was looking through some...
Oh, the store. I forgot about this. Oh, my God.
I was like, this is a perfect story of remembering. So I'm just like, at a counter, and some guy was there talking to this lady, and I was looking through some clothing, some beautiful sweaters, and I heard the lady at the counter go, "So how long have you been married?" And I don't know these people, but
put yourself in the store.
And I'm just looking at the shirts, and I hear him say, "Too long." Okay. That does not work. I went and I looked at him and I go, "That is the wrong answer." It just came out of me. But I said it with a smile and with love in my heart.
You got called out, man. Wow.
And so
who was that lady?
That lady. That
called me out.
American lady. So anyway, then I just kept on, I was like, I can't believe I just did that. So I just pretended like I didn't. And so I went and kept on looking at the clothes, and I was done looking at the rack. But the whole time I was doing the rack look, is the sales lady was obviously nervous, and she was like, "Oh, well, the kids, my husband doesn't remember our kids' birthdays," and just talking because she was nervous. And so I didn't say anything else because I felt like I had said enough. And so I finished my last look at the sweaters, and then I was off walking towards Michael because I could see Michael was done. And as I'm walking away, he looks at me and he goes, 53. And I wasn't expecting him to say anything. I thought he had forgotten or said something silly like, "Oh, that crazy American woman." But anyway, he said 53, and I was like, "That is so good. I'm so proud of you." This is really what I did. I said, "That is so good. I'm so proud of you." And then I went up to him and I said, "That's going to make your wife's heart so happy." Remembering dates is really important, and that's how I left him. And he was smiling, thankfully. And I walked towards my husband, and then on our way out, you said something to him. I said to him, "This man remembers that he's been married for 53 years, babe. Isn't that wonderful?"
Yeah.
And you said...
I don't know what I said.
You said, "Oh, yeah, we've been married for 44, and she won't let me forget." As we
I didn't
walked
quite
out the
say
door.
it with that tone.
Well, no, but you said it funny. Anyway, it was all in good tone. But the
Yes.
point is, here's my story. My story is, dates are very important. They really are. I can't tell you how many times I've heard men and women, when I ask them, "How long have you been married?" they'll say, "Oh, too long."
Yeah, what's that really saying?
And the other person is there.
Yeah.
No. Let's tear that piece of paper off and start with a brand new picture. And the picture is remembering people's dates, their birthdays, the anniversaries, I mean, it's just very important. It fills people's hearts when you realize, wow, I met you so and so years ago and we're together and this is amazing. And if things aren't that good, okay, well then realize it and start working on it. Like we've done the work and we continue to do the work.
Yeah.
But to make a relationship happy and lasting, please remember dates. They're very important for people's heart.
That's a funny story. I was there.
Yes, remembering dates. And then the next thing I wanted to talk about is encouragement. I've always got a little encouragement.
Oh, wait, is this another time? This is another section of the show, though.
Yes,
right?
it is.
Oh, so that was your relationship chat, remembering dates. Yeah. And it also just shows that I respect you. It also shows that I care. Now, does that mean we're going to always remember everything? Absolutely not. But I think the next step beyond what you're talking about there is if we forget and somebody says, hey, do you remember the day? And you're like, I'm sorry, I actually forgot the date. When is that again? Just admit it. Don't try to make something up or say something that's not nice. Like, when you hear these things, how long you been married? Too long, or something like this. Just say, oh, actually, I've forgotten. How many is it now, darling? Or wow, it's been a lot of wonderful years. I don't remember exactly how many, but it's been a lot of wonderful years.
Oh, that's a good one.
But again, to me, it always comes back to this thing of respect. I mean, what are you saying about your relationship when and if you, like I said, if you do forget, I'm not, we're not going to be perfect. People are going to forget stuff, and that happens, here and there. But if you do forget, just say, hey, I've forgotten, can you help remind me? What is that? Oh, yeah, that's right. Fantastic. Thank you,
And one of the ways we remember is my mom taught us to write it on a calendar. Well, we've got it on the calendar, but we've also got it like in our phones. Like we've got the kids with their boyfriends, how many years they've been together, because they celebrate anniversaries. And so we do that, and people's birthdays and stuff. So remembering is important because that is respect. Yeah.
That was our relationship part of the show. And now let's move into the next segment, our final segment, because we always want to leave you with some words of encouragement and inspiration. So Dr. Isabel today is going to leave you with a word of encouragement and inspiration before we go. So what do you got,
And
darling?
I've entitled this, What's Your Dash Gonna Say? So what dash am I talking about? Okay, well, we all die, right? That's just the way it is. Gosh, look at how it changes.
Yeah, it does that with the camera thing. Yeah.
Huh. Anyway. Crazy. So anyway, we all die, and this is our tombstone, and this is the date we were born, and here's the dash, and then this is the date we go bye-bye. So what's your dash going to be? A lot of people have died in my life in the last year or so, and I often ask my question, what's my dash going to mean? And I encourage you to consider what your dash is going to be, because you're here for a reason. You are not a mistake. You're not just born into this world to suffer and then you die and then you go nowhere. You're here for that dash to make a statement. And so if you're a mom or if you're a dad, what's that dash of being a parent going to be? Is it, I'm just going to be the breadwinner and that's all I got to do, and my husband will raise the children, or my wife will raise the children because I'm always out making money? Well, you know what? There's more to it. I mean, it's totally up to you. You get to decide what that dash is. I personally want to be remembered as an amazing, fun mother that walked alongside the kids during all the stations that they've gone through and encourage them. And so you just imagine, okay, what's my position? I'm a father, mother. How am I going to do it? Because you get to decide, and you can change the way you're doing it starting right now. You can make that decision. Like, for instance, me, I thought, and this just came out, I thought that I was just a breadwinner. Like my whole position was just to make money for the family, and that was it. I was just the breadwinner, and I really didn't feel like I was a mom, but now that whole picture has changed, and I'm more than a provider of money. I'm a provider as a mom, being there for our kids, for all the things that they go through, and Michael's there for them. So just realizing you're more than what you are right now. You can be more. You just have to kind of take your glasses off, clean them off, and go, okay, how am I looking at this, and how do I want to be? Friends. What kind of a friend are you? Are you a fair weather friend, or are you a friend that's, there during the tough times? It's our choice what kind of friend we want to be. And that's part of the dash. When they're at the funeral and they talk about you, what kind of a friend you were. At the funeral, that dash, how did you change the world? If you want to change the world, like, were you a positive influence in this world? Well, that's going to be talked about at the funeral. What's your dash? You're in charge of that dash. Do you want to be a philanthropic billionaire and help the world and tithe 50% of your money? If that's what you want to do, well, then that's going to be part of your dash, and you're going to have people at your funeral talking about how you help them out. What's your dash going to be like? My mom just recently passed 4 months ago, and I was thinking about her dash. And Mommy's dash for me was, she just was there as a loving, praying mom, child of God, believing in Jesus Christ was her Lord and Savior, and she didn't pound it into me. She just lived it. And she always said, my faith is everything, Mamita. And she just was loving towards us, even when we weren't awake. Mm-hmm. She was always loving and accepting. I remember Mommy from that dash. That's pretty much what I remember from Mom, is her love, her unconditional love, and bringing faith into my life. And then we think about Jesus. Jesus came here, showed us how to do life here on earth with love in our heart and to love others. I mean, there's 2 commandments. Oh yeah, what am I pounding too much? Yeah, I'm pounding too much. He showed us 2 big things. One is how to love the Lord with all your heart. Everything you do is with God, and to help God do more and more of his work here on earth. And then also to love others as you love yourself. Well, first you got to learn to love yourself so that you can love others. That's what Jesus taught us. And I love following what Jesus showed us how to do, is learn how to be good and learn how to be loving here on earth. And I thank Mom for that dash, and I'll never forget that. And it brought a lot of hope to me. It changed your life, it changed my life, and I just think, Mom, we dedicate this section to you, because you are amazing, and you will go on and on and on in our lives. You are the wing beneath our wings. Thank you so much, Mom. I love you so much. And that's what I ask you to ask yourself, is what's your dash going to be like? Because you're born, you're here, and you will pass away. What are you leaving behind? What memories are you leaving behind for others that were in your life?
Very good.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you for joining us today on the extended version of the MD and Show Team show.
Only by 20 minutes.
Yeah,
That's
it
not
doesn't
bad.
matter. Well, hey, it's our show. We can go as long as we want, or we go as short as we want.
That's
and
right.
We're here for you no matter what we're doing. If you want to learn more about us, you can go over to Doctoronamission.com. There you'll find our services. You'll find us about us. A lot of freebies over there you can grab a hold of for your healthy lifestyle journey. Also, if you want to connect for daily insights and inspiration on social media, just look for a hashtag at Doctoronamission. We're pretty much out there on all the social media channels, so you can look forward to that. And it's been great to have you here today. We're here for you for the betterment of your health. We're sharing our knowledge, what we've been coached in, our journey, and we're here to help you prevent and reverse disease, give you hope, and to know that we can all have an optimal, beautiful, healthy life until our last breath, if that's our decision to do that. Anything else you got, my dear, before we go?
We'll be back in a couple of weeks, and bring your questions if you've got any.
Yes.
We're here for you.
So thank you. So if you see this on replay, give us a hashtag replay. You can add your comments, and suggestions and anything else you got in the post where you might see it. We will get back with you. We do answer as much as we can. Thank you so much. And if you happen to see this on YouTube or whatever channels, remember to like, subscribe, and comment. And if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, come on. We know you're out there watching. So subscribe to the channel. You'll find out what's going on. Thanks a lot. Bye for now. If you're part of that 70% who haven't subscribed yet, well, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can come along with us. Give us a like. Thanks.